Okay, so today is day 3, and I did post day 2 recording in the group. So if you haven't seen it or you want to go back to it for review, they're all in there. And I've also been posting today a lot of different information for you guys in case you haven't looked in there yet, or you're like, oh my God, what is she doing? So I found some websites for templates for characters. I put some other information in there for writing. And that's what I kind of do even in our group coaching. It's like you can't cover everything, in a training. So I give you the resources, and that's what I've been doing in that group. So I hope that some of that helps you in any way that you need. So before we get started, do any of you have any questions that you would like addressed today? Let's go around real quick, or just tell me how you feel today. Okay, Pam.
So during my writing today, which was all breathless, I am aware that I use he, she a lot, or the character's name. And I don't know if that is good when writing, just continual words like that, or if there's another way I could approach it.
Okay, we'll talk about that tonight. That's a good one. Anybody else? Go ahead, Blondie.
Gloria, would you explain stacking again? Because I think I missed it.
Sure, I will. Okay, we'll go over that too for everybody. Sharon, you had your hand up?
With the breathless writing today, I really enjoyed it, but I did have a real urge to go back. If I type something completely wrong and fix it, are you supposed to just let the typos go or make it?
Well, eventually, if you're going to use that in your work, you're going to fix it. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah. The breathless writing is just to open up that channel to write, that creative channel where you're not overthinking, where you're letting the blocks go. It's like sometimes like Irene's coming in and she was really blocked at one of the writing retreats we had in North Carolina, all of a sudden just shut down. And I said, well, let's do some breathless writing about being shut down. And that's what she did. She just let that flow, what that meant. And it didn't stay long at all in the block. It actually opened her up to first emotions, but then other things that she wrote a story from it. So that's why it's, it's important to do that and then go back later on. And if you're going to use it in your story, obviously you revise it and you edit it. Good evening, Irene. I can't hear you, honey.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for joining us tonight. So who else has questions for tonight? Nobody? Everybody's good? Okay. Well, tonight we're going to discuss bringing these characters alive in your story. And I know that each of you are working on something completely different, but the foundation still is there. So Laura, you're actually working, we're gonna start with you because you're a little more of a challenge actually. So let's get that out of the way and everything after that will be easy, okay? So tell us a little bit about what you're writing and a little bit about the characters that are coming in, because character development is going to be important for many reasons. It's going to help your reader identify with the characters in there, whether it's you, whether it's channeled, whether it's fictional, okay? Whether you're bringing somebody else into the story. They have to come alive in the sense of it can't be so esoteric that they can't connect, all right? So even when you're getting information in a meditative state or a prayer state or whatever it is that any of you use, even in the breathless writing state, we need to bring those characters into this story in a way that I'm like, wow, I'm going to remember this. Okay. So first tell me a little bit about what's happening for you, because you brought up, are we going to do any character development a couple of times? And that's why we're here tonight, because of you. So it's going to help everybody. So tell us first a little bit about what's happening in your story.
Okay. So
It is like a mixture, right? So there's the characters, which are from my own personal experience, going through the healing process, and then there's channeling, and then there's like pieces of awareness that come. It's all kind of putting it together. If that
Well,
makes
let's not worry about putting it together yet. Tell me about the pieces, like with the channeling, like what does that look like to you when you're writing?
like that, it just comes from any. I don't know where it comes. It's just coming to me. I even
And what
have-
kind of information comes to you?
about the situation. So it's on a
Elaborate.
so it's on a deeper level, which like maybe we wouldn't see it in our own personal experience. We may think, oh, you know, I was abused, or this happened, but there's a deeper level of understanding and consciousness there. And so it
Okay.
not only is it healing for me, and it makes me like, oh my God, that's why it happens. You know what I
Right.
mean? It may be past life, it may be present life, you know what I mean? It may be karmic. So there's a lot of, it depends on what I'm
Okay,
writing.
I got it. I got it. So how many of you, when you're writing, you're either in a prayerful state, a meditative state or something, and you receive messages and wisdom from a higher source, from your God source, wherever? Anybody besides Blondie? You do. Okay. Anybody else? Teresa's coming in. I know she does. There she is. Hi, Teresa. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the real characters first. All right. Hey, we got Daryl finally joining us. Okay. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Oh, your audio is still connecting. So what I'm going to do for all of you is go through the physical characteristics first, and then we're going to talk about these voices, whispers, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, God's voice that comes in through you. Hi, Daryl. You want to come on in and say hello?
Hi.
Can we see you?
I'm driving.
Oh, you're driving. Okay.
I'm almost home.
All right. All right. So Daryl has actually been stalking us the last few days in the group. He has had a lot of company, so he hasn't been able to come in here. But Daryl also writes from this other level of consciousness, Laura. You know, it's like it's almost like breathless writing. It's very channeled information. And a lot of times when that happens, it doesn't come through very constructively. It's like all over the place and we don't know what to do with it. So we'll help you a little bit with that today. But let's talk about the different types of characters that we have. We have an antagonist and a protagonist, right? Do you all know what that is? Anybody not clear? Your protagonist is your main character, whether it's you or somebody else, and the antagonist is usually the person that creates the chaos or the villain or whatever. But sometimes we say, well, wait a minute, I don't have that in my story. No, you may not. But do you have the voices in your head that we talked about that interfere with your life, that sabotage you, that create all these issues and problems? You know, so that actually becomes like the inner voice there, the inner character that's getting in the way. That makes sense? So there's always kind of like both of those things happening. Your main character, your protagonist, is going to basically be the one that we want to connect with. We want to remember them. We want to follow them in the next book. You know, we want to cheer them on. They are the hero or the heroine in the story. Make sense? Now, what I want you guys to do tonight is not just listen to me. I want questions. I want interaction, because that's the best way to learn. And we got Lori jumping in for the first time too. So see, because we have some new people that weren't able to get on earlier, this is going to help them too when you engage and act and help them out. Okay. So hi, Lori.
Hey,
She finally made it.
wait, I gotta turn my video, my volume up.
Okay, so Lori is actually from Arizona. She signed up for the Sedona retreat, so we're going to get to meet her there. So who's ever coming to Sedona, wave hello, Lori.
Hello.
And Teresa's coming, and Irene is coming, and Marla is coming. So you got a few of your
Are
buds.
you 3 hours ahead of me? What time is it?
7:13 right now.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, I'm glad I got my laptop out early because I was thinking you were 2 hours. We don't change time in Arizona. So anyway,
Okay.
good.
So anyway, you missed a couple of days, but the recordings are in the group, so kind of catch up. But today we're going into character development because several people have asked about it, and then Laura wanted to know if I'm channeling information, how do I make that a character? Okay, so tell me first, where are you, besides Laura, which I know, where are the rest of you maybe struggling or don't know where to start with writing about your character and bringing them into the story throughout the whole sequence?
I'm having, I'm
That's
having,
okay.
sorry, I'm having trouble with getting yummy words. Like, I feel like it's very boring and generic. So
Okay.
I'm really struggling with that. It's actually put a big halt block in my brain
Well,
today.
that's why I threw some of those templates up there, because we're gonna go over a little bit of that. Sharon,
Okay, thank you.
Similar descriptions and details, if that doesn't happen to come out easily.
Okay, so here's what I want you all to do, okay? In one sentence, we're gonna go around real quick. Those of you that have been working with me the last day or two, how would you describe me in your story? Marla, go ahead, you try it. How would you describe me if I was one of the characters in your story?
I would,
Characteristics.
spunky, charismatic, very wise, and a go-getter.
Well, see, there you go. You got a lot of descriptive words that just blurted out of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you do with those words is you are going to use them in a story, if that's part of your character, where instead of saying she's spunky or she's charismatic or whatever, how would you write about showing me how I'm spunky in the, to your audience? What might your character do? This is for everybody. If they had that kind of spunky attitude, how would you demonstrate it? Because it's not descriptive details. How would you demonstrate it? So when you say I'm spunky, what makes you see that in me based on what you've been observing?
You do so much in a small time frame, and you're just, I wonder, do you sleep? I mean, I love it. It's
All day long till I come on here.
oh.
Okay, so you're describing somebody who's what, energetic?
Yes.
Okay, so if I had to demonstrate somebody that has an energetic personality or a spunky attitude, how would any of you bring that into the story by showing me and not telling me?
By
This-
describing,
Yes.
oops, sorry, go
That's
ahead.
okay. No, go ahead.
By describing a scene that shows the spunkiness somehow into the story related to the character.
Who's talking? I can't figure. Oh, that's Teresa. Exactly. So how would you do that? If you were in the scene and you had to bring this character alive, how would you do that?
Well, I necessarily wouldn't think of spunky because like I stacked on my story and did a breathless, exercise and stacked. And the mother was describing the Empress and basically was saying she was a wild spirit. And so I said, who loved to sit in the forest all day in a tree. She spoke with the animals. How in the
How does
world
that
was
make
she
her a
going to?
wild spirit?
Because
Throw
she didn't
things
want to
at you
maybe
guys because
be,
I want you to get clear on it.
she didn't maybe want to be in a classroom or stuck in the house or doing chores, or she was just wanting to be free, do
Okay,
run,
so she's a
roam,
free
ride her
spirit.
horse. Or,
She's a free spirit or independent spirit. And the reason I'm saying this and working with you is because words have certain meanings to people. If I think,
Mhm.
I think like crazy wild, okay? I don't see somebody sitting in the woods. So we want to choose our words wisely when we're creating this narrative for our I was going to say customers, for our characters to come alive, okay? So,
Right.
okay. All right,
But
so
this was just my stacking and I did not edit it. I made sure I didn't go back
That's
and
fine.
edit it at all.
okay,
Yeah.
so what I would want to do is I want to stay on task with this so I can work with all of you with
Yeah.
Carla's idea or your description of me. Pick 3 words and then we'll work on one, because I want you all to see how we work with this. How do you bring, quote unquote, we're using me as the character right now. That way I don't pick on any of you. You could pick on me. It's your turn. All right.
Mhm.
How would you make in your story, if you were writing something, it's believable, it's relatable, the reader feels like there's an encounter going on there because they really know this person. How could you describe my quirks maybe, or the personality you see? Who wants to take a shot at this? I'm on. Go ahead, Sharon.
Maybe the person who's energetic would
No,
walk.
I want you to tell the story.
Oh, okay. So you couldn't stop her. No matter what you did at 3 o'clock, she'd run out into the side on the sidewalk, dribbling the basketball. She'd throw the basketball in the bushes. She'd take out her
So
pins.
you're
and start
telling us,
juggling.
you're telling us all the things that she does, okay?
Mhm.
So let's just back up a little bit. Instead of saying that she does this and this and this and this, how can you demonstrate it? So this is the difference between descriptions and demonstrating.
So she dribbled the basketball 25 times. She threw it up into the air. She clapped her hands and she looked at the sky and said, I can do this even faster. I know it. And she proceeded to do it another 50 times.
Okay, so what I want you to do, all of you, is to think about how Sharon described what this girl was doing. What's another way of demonstrating? So this is that fine line where writers get stuck because they go back into describing. And even when I'm writing, like today, I wrote 5,000 words and started revising things. I had to go back and look, oh, here I go back into that monkey mind of I'm putting descriptions when I need to demonstrate. So when they're in action, how do you demonstrate it? The personality. Anybody want to help her? Lori, you want to give it a shot?
You know, I was just thinking, I'm very new to all of this. So it's like, you know, just even.
That's okay.
I did watch your second video. I haven't gotten to the first one yet. And this is this is exactly what I need, because most of the writing I do is for work and it's all technical writing. So, you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard for me to be descriptive and, you know, get into that character.
And demonstrative.
Right.
And that's why, especially if you're writing anything fictional, you know, this is something that takes time to master. And trust me, doing this fictional book is really like making me realize all the challenges that the writers have too. But it's not just in fictional, it's also in nonfiction. You still have to be able to make the person feel like they're in the story. Irene, you got any input on this? Or Pam?
So when I am thinking of Spunky Gloria, Gloria entered the room with a bounce in her step, red hair flinging over her shoulder, approaching us breathlessly and blurting out her thoughts.
Okay, so if I'm reading your book and I don't know what approaching breathlessly means,
Okay.
come across in energy or movements or something.
What was the last thing you said?
You know, either the energy of the person, the movement of the person. Can you relate it to something that's similar so that your reader knows what you're talking about? You know, if she's moving breathlessly, you know, and you opened your arms, is it like an eagle flying or something, you know? So give your people something to think about so that they can make the connection. use your example from your book when V is on the motorcycle. How did you get us to feel like we were on that motorcycle with this literally wild woman?
How did I get there?
Yeah, how did you create that feeling?
I started out by listening to some music. And it was a specific song I listened to get me there. It was about a car race. And I just stayed in that energy and that forward motion, and didn't look back. Just wrote.
Okay, but that's not going to help them because you're
Yeah.
not telling us about the stories. Yeah, there's an echo. If you're not speaking, turn your thing off, your mic off. And sometimes that creates it. Okay, try talking now.
So do you want me to stay with Spunky?
Give an example.
Of Spunky?
All right, you guys are struggling. Okay, let's back up. Go ahead, Sharon. You want to try again?
Yeah, I'm thinking if it were Pamela, maybe she's trying to, I need to make 100 shots. I feel so sweaty. I can't believe it. My shoulders are tense. My heart is pounding. That kind of thing.
You're getting there. Okay, so this is why it takes practice. Even Irene's been working on her character who's a twin, and it's not easy for her to do twins and keep them identifiable and separate, you know, especially since they look alike. So physical characteristics don't mean anything. And you don't want to put so much, like some people will open stories up with describing somebody, you know, and you're going to lose interest because they want to feel that character. All right. And then maybe later on you say something about their eyes or the way they move, but it's not all thrown in. It's weaved in your story. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of your protagonist. What is your protagonist? What's their characteristics? Okay. What are their skill sets? What's their energy like? What's the tone of their voice? How do they move in their body? So start making a list of all the things about your character without describing them physically. What interests do they have that maybe your reader is going to enjoy learning about them? Do they struggle with something in life? Do they have an inner conflict? What can you reveal about their character through a story? And name your character. I want to hear everybody's character's name tonight, even if it's not the one you're going to work with. And do it breathlessly. So for those that just came on tonight, Lori and Daryl, the breathless writing is about taking some real deep centered breaths and not thinking so much about things, but allowing the character to write through you. And all of you should do this, actually. Let's all do it together. So get centered into your belly, take your breaths, clear your mind, all the data that's running through your head, they're this, they're that, let it go. Give them a name while you're breathing. And on the third exhale, talk to them. So if that character's name is Lori, tell me something about you that's unique. Tell me something, no, your character, I'm just using your name as an example. Or tell me what you want to show me about yourself today. So ask one question of that character and then just begin to let it flow like you've been doing with your breathless writing without thinking about it. What does your character want to tell you about themselves? Do they have a fetish for a certain food? Who knows? Have they had traumatic experiences? What are they telling you today? We're just going to give it a few more seconds to see what came through. Okay, so who wants to share? What did your character tell you about themselves today? And maybe it's a surprise that you didn't see coming. Go ahead, Laura.
So I got the name Carrie because I didn't know who to do. So I just went
You
with
got the
it.
name, what name?
Carrie.
Carrie?
Okay. And so I asked her, what was she like? And I got unique, abstract, experienced, closed off, but happy in her own space, centered and creative.
Okay, so now my next conversation with Carrie would be, Carrie, can you tell me what makes you unique? You see, because now you got to get into it. It's not just the words. We need to, from your character, how do they come across to the world being unique? So that's going to be your next step, picking one of those words, like abstract. How do you describe abstract? How do you represent abstract? Okay, so when you do your next breathless writing, pick one of them. Who else wants to give it a shot and tell us what they heard? What message did your character give you? Go ahead, Marla.
Mine is Starling is her name. She loves all sorts of foods, enjoys other cultures and experiencing them, loves to people watch, and cooking is her love language.
So what are you going to ask her next to break that down more?
What about other cultures? What attracts you to that?
Yeah, what attracts her to it? Does she bring any of these cultures or indigenous ways into her life, and how does she do that? Okay, so develop that. And I know your story now is going a different direction than you thought, because Starling is in Paris now. So, what is it about the food that delights her senses? Is it orgasmic for her? So don't be afraid to use words like this, because people can understand it. We have a foodie here, Christine. She loves food porn. And it was so funny when I first met her years ago, and she go, "Oh, food porn." I thought, well, that's an interesting word. It caught my attention, And so you want to catch the attention of the person reading. Make sense? So talk to Starling and ask her some of those questions. Who's next? Let's move so we get lots done. Sharon, go ahead.
It's Captain Drake, and he says he's the boss. He hates the rat that scurries under the deck. He's going to get that rat someday. He makes them into make them into what I want. They're lazy, most of them. I was beaten at a boy. I mean to beat others too. I play the harmonica, but no one knows.
Okay, so I want you to talk to him about the harmonica, because the other stuff is just, a boss kind of demanding thing, okay? The harmonica is a piece there about his character that we need to understand more about, so you'll go back in and ask him, how did the harmonica find you? What does it do for you when you play it? So ask your characters questions. Pam, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I asked my character, who is V, short for Veronica, what is something you want me to know about you? And V responded, I enjoy being a wallflower and people not knowing who I am and what I'm capable of. Looking at me, would you think I could destroy you? I hope not. I prefer to remain mysterious and surprising. I can relate to being a ninja.
Okay, so here we have two different concepts of this woman, okay? She's a wallflower, but she can be a ninja. So we need to get her to clarify some of these things, like how and why does she perceive herself as a wallflower? What does that look like in your story, okay? How does she demonstrate being mysterious when she's in your story? Ask your characters these questions. How can I demonstrate and show my reader how you act this way? Okay. So if you had to take her into your story and she's a ninja, how would you be describing that, Pamela, in your story? She's laughing because she's been playing with this. I know.
How would I describe her as being a ninja?
Yeah, so let's say, you know, people see her as a wallflower. She's quiet, she's staying in the background, and all of a sudden this other personality shows up in the story. What is she doing in the story that she's got to take some ninja action? What did she do in your chapter where she kind of took on that whole personality?
How do I do this?
The action in the church. Remember that? I do. See, she wrote this months ago and I haven't forgotten it because she didn't describe it. She took me into the scene of V being hunted down or stalked, and it switched at some point because the ninja personality in her, this adrenaline came in her. Nobody was going to kill her, and she's dashing through, you know, the church, and she's hiding and she's finding all these things. And then she turns around and goes and kills, she wanted to kill them off in the beginning. I said, you can't do that right away. Okay. But this other personality from this, you know, woman that was very shy, had a very business job in her cubicle, now is over in Italy, you know, and there's a whole suspense and mystery to this story. And she turns into this ninja. So you brought the action into your story, but see how hard it is to describe it when you're talking?
Mhm.
So painting a picture. Remember, we talked about that on day one. You have a canvas, it's blank at first, right? You have a blank canvas. Any of you artists here? No, yeah, so you have a blank canvas, and the first thing you do maybe is put a background color, right? And then you've got to build upon this, right? So maybe you're doing some of your mountains in the back first, right? And then after the mountains, there's the trees, and after that, there's the people or whatever. You have to build upon it. So that you're doing the same thing with your character. In the background, you know she's a wallflower, but in the foreground, she comes forward as a ninja, okay? In the background, you know I'm spunky, but how do I demonstrate it? Do I put a superhero cape on, you know? So like when you feel something like that, how do you bring that into a story? All right, who next is gonna describe what their character told them? I wanna move a little faster tonight, so just come on in, jump in, don't be shy.
Hello.
Hi, Irene.
My character is more of a.
Name?
Don't get angry. I changed her name again.
Good. What's her name?
Alira.
How do you spell that?
Aleera.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say about a name. I mean, I like it better than Eileen. It's still very similar, but it's hard to remember. So you can use it, but that means we really have to know and feel her.
Okay.
So what did Alira tell you today?
Well, Lyra's more of a loner.
No. What did she say? What did you ask her for help with?
To tell me how she is more. What
Okay.
from her heart. So she likes to be more towards the background. She doesn't like to be the life of the party.
So she's a wallflower
She's
personality.
invisible. Nature calms her down. Her eye twitches when she gets pissed off. So that's why the nature being outside calms her down. And she really misses her twin.
Okay. That's not going to demonstrate her personality. That's telling me parts and pieces of her, just like Wallflower when Pam was. That's just a part and piece. That's the background canvas, okay? In your story, she comes across sarcastic, pissed off, angry, frustrated. And the only thing in here that you represented that was an eye twitch. So you're going to go in and ask her more about the eye twitch. How did she develop that? How did it come forward? You know, you need to really know your characters. So if you're going to give them certain parts and pieces of personalities and things they're going to do, speak to them and ask them more about it. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? A yes, so raise a hand or something, type it in the chat.
So when she's talking about a eye twitch, and she likes nature, so would something she could say would be, I'm sitting at the beach and you're talking about, you know, the waves and the air and whatever she's feeling. And then, yeah, she's feeling like
don't put your reader to sleep.
She's feeling how the eye twitch is like it wasn't there, but then it starts like bubbling, like in the
Okay,
whatever
so,
feeling
yeah.
she's having that, and then her eye just, you know.
So what if, while she's observing the ocean waves crashing, she feels them hitting her heart? It reminds her of how people are in her way, how they're in her face, and she doesn't like that. She likes to be in the background. She likes to be like the birds that fly off into the trees. And then she realizes she's switching. So see, don't you say I'm sitting on a beach. That is boring. We don't want to bore our people. So bring the beach into the scene. What about the beach? Make sense? So character development is one of the most important keys into writing a very engaging, interesting story. And it's one of the hardest things to do. You can have your whole story idea like you guys have been sharing the last few days. But then once you get into that, it's like, oh, I'm just writing descriptive words. And the same thing goes if you're writing a nonfiction story and you're bringing your life story in there, okay? So for example, like Hamadou is going to write more nonfiction, and I know a couple of others will be doing that, but you still have to bring a part and piece of who you really are that brought you from here to here and why you're so passionate in a mission. So you're not going to just say, and I don't know Hamadou's whole story, I just know little bits and pieces, but you're not going to just say, I was born in Africa and this happened to me, and then I went to school and now I have a purpose. There's got to be more emotional engagement. The reader really has to get to know why you found a certain passion or purpose in life and how that energy came up into you and roared through you like fire in your belly, dragons, you know, breath, whatever it is. That way they can relate to your personality. Make sense? Who's next? Blondie, you want to go next?
Gloria, can you hear me?
Her name is Diana. Did you want to go first?
No, you go.
Okay. The question is, why don't you go out to play? I am invisible. No one ever pays attention to me. I am overlooked, never taken seriously. Books are my escape. Keep me hidden. I don't want to be seen. I'm behind the scenes.
So she's in the canvas too, see? But how are we going to demonstrate this to your reader? Is something about her, you know, like when you say she likes to remain hidden, I'd say it was Diana, right?
Yes, Diana.
Diana, show me what hidden means to you.
She's hiding.
Yeah, but
And
how is she doing that? Is she hiding behind a curtain, or is she hiding by creating a shield around herself so people kind of don't even notice she's in a room?
that could be.
Okay, so this is what you want to find out from your characters. How do they do this? Ask them to demonstrate it, not just give you words. Okay? Yes, Pam.
It could be.
Go ahead.
It-
So sitting in a coffee shop in the corner, away from everybody against the wall, wearing sunglasses
That's
and a
describing
hat.
the that's describing the scene, yes, but it's not describing her. You see? So you have the scene, you set the scene. Now, Blondie, if she's sitting, let's say, in that coffee shop or wherever she is, and we have this scene, how do we demonstrate what she's feeling or doing? Or
Well,
not?
could it also be that she is thinking and that she's invisible in her own mind?
Mm-hmm.
That
Does
was
she notice that people ignore her?
okay.
Is that real and true? I mean, I don't know.
Mhm. Well, the people ignore her, then you would have to perhaps put her in a place, in a situation, well, or maybe she's in the coffee shop and she's trying to get the waitress's attention and the waitress is overlooking her.
There you go. Okay, so that now gives me a
Now
sense
she
of,
goes into her own head and she's back to, I'm invisible, no one pays attention to me.
and when she's invisible, ask her, no one pays attention. Does she change her posture? Does she feel a certain way? Is there a,
She slouches. Once
she
she gets,
slouches?
yeah, she
Okay.
slouches and kind of puts her hand up in despair.
Yeah, I give up.
Yeah.
So this is what you need to do. These little pieces that you are getting, you're going to do what we just did here. Put them in the scene, feel their body. How is their body? Is it strong? Is it slouched? Is it kind of like, I'm going to look over here so nobody sees me, I want you to be able to do that so you can actually create this. Okay, Christine, you want to go?
What I really want is to draw down my cloak of invisibility.
What's your character's name?
My character name is Jackie. And her characteristics are, she's fearless, she wants to belong, she likes to laugh at herself, she takes on big challenges. She wants to have fun and she wants new experience.
Okay, so now if you were to ask Jackie, what does that look like? If I was to watch you, Jackie, and I see you become fearless and sociable and having fun, what does that look like instead of just saying that's what she wants?
Okay, one day Jackie throws a tent and a sleeping bag in the trunk and borrows a box of CDs from her friend and jumps in the car and points the car west. And she tries to match the music to the territory that she's driving through. And she's driving through the prairies of Alberta, and she has Jan Arden blasting on the stereo because Jan Arden is from Alberta for you non-Canadians. And she has the window open. And
okay, so I'm going to stop here for a second. So you just set the scene is what you did. You set the scene. She's going camping. She's got a tent. She's in the car. She's got her CD. She's blasting the music. And maybe her body's starting to rock to the music in whatever way that this particular artist, demonstrates her passion through her words and her music. Look at Jackie. What is she doing? How is she feeling? What does her face look like?
her face is, her eyes just reach to the horizon because the sky is so big. The horizon just goes forever.
Okay, we don't
And
It's not about her, that's about the horizon. So see what happens? We start to go with too many details and we get off track about the character. It's, like I said, it's not.
Yeah, it's honest to God. It's like you guys are speaking Chinese. I can't,
Yes, you can.
I cannot conceive the difference between like when I think about driving and looking out at the horizon, that's a feeling of freedom. You know what? I don't talk to people that much. I live by myself. I don't know how to do this.
Christine, I'm not going to accept that from you because every exercise you have done, you can do it. You have done it. You develop it. You're
Okay,
just
but
walking.
I'm not hearing the difference.
Okay, I get
I'm not
that.
hearing it.
You're walking out of the comfort zone, and that is what Jackie is about. Okay,
Right,
she's
right.
floats in invisibility. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge. You know, when we take on these characters that are a little bit out of who we are. This is why we have to let them write the story. Just like the other day when you were surprised when you did the breathless, someone else gave you some other information. So when you set the scene, which is what you did very clearly, because I can see her getting in, throwing the tent and getting all her supplies, and I could see her eyes going up, but then you started talking about the horizon. And now I'm thinking about the horizon. I lost the focus on Jackie. Okay. So her eyes are looking up to the horizon. Now tell me, when she looks up to the horizon, does she have like this feeling that comes into her own being that even her face is elated and the stress in her shoulders is gone? And she's kind of thinking, I just want to be a hippie chick out here and run naked. You know, like, who knows, right? Have fun with it. Laura's laughing at me. Because that's the freedom, you know, if she's looking to be and humorless and take on challenges, maybe this is something she needs to experience because, like you said, it's not what she knows. So when you're writing with your characters, you got to be really careful that it's not all the way through, that they're still in that same spot. So when we say we can't do it, this is where the breathless writing and the imagination and talking to your character comes in. So if I was to talk to Jackie and I was to say, okay, Jackie, we're going fearless, girl. What is she going to show you about herself when she becomes fearless?
The next road she comes to, the next off ramp, she's going to take it. And then I just don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, but you have to ask Jackie. So again, it's not about the scene creation. That's not what we're doing tonight. We're doing character development. We have to develop our characters within these scenes so that I never forget your character. I will never forget V because of the motorcycle ride that she took. And then, the, you know, mass in the church and the cathedral. You know? And it's a scene that she created, but it was the energy she put behind the character. Hi, Daryl. Nice to see you. Okay. And I know it's a challenge, Christine. This is why the breathless writing is going to help you, because it's already helped you every time you've done it.
And if I was doing it not in this group, it would probably work.
Exactly. So when you do it tonight or tomorrow,
can't think so fast.
I know. And it is a fast process. And
my brain doesn't work that way.
okay. But don't say your brain doesn't work that way, because we can reprogram and recondition our responses. And that's why even when I had to learn this process years ago, all of us tend to go into our head and think about everything, you know, but when we have to do it spontaneous and respond really, really quick, we know it's coming from that core, that depth of the soul, the character in yourself, versus what you've got laid out in your head that you're accustomed to and used to. When I let my character write in this adventure novel, I don't even know what's going to happen the next time, because now Lexi's writing the story and I sit here and I start laughing sometimes and I go, oh my God, how did she think of this? Because it wasn't necessarily in my agenda. I set the scene, but the character is creating herself. So play around with that, Christine, because this Jackie needs to bring humor in her life. She's got to bring, you know, she doesn't want to be invisible anymore, right? She wants to come out. She wants to have people in her life. So the opposite if I was Jackie and I wanted to try something new, and you guys, I want you to all chime in, okay? All of you. What would fearless look like from someone who's been cloaked? Who wants to jump in and share? What does that look like? Go ahead, Blondie.
While she was driving to her destination, a car pulls up to challenge her to a race, and she takes off laughing. Her feet on the pedal, the needle going up and up, 75, 80, 90.
But how's she feeling? Does she have an adrenaline rush?
Yes.
You know, bring all that in there. Okay.
Okay.
Bring it in there. Good. Okay. So you guys are really good at describing the scenes, the action scene, but it's the emotion, it's the affect, it's all of that that you have to bring forward. When she goes and guns that, you know, because it's totally out of character for her, right? So when she goes and she puts her hand on the, you know, I don't know if it's stick shift or steering wheel, and her foot presses on that gas, and there's this other personality that just starts to come through. So you have to describe that personality. It's almost like, oh my gosh, you know, equate it to some character, you know, in a movie or something. All right. So now she's totally out of character as Jackie, and this other person's coming, and she decides to shock herself by going from 0 to 100 like really fast, and it gives her a rush, and her adrenaline's pumping, and she looks in the rearview mirror and she realizes that there's dust behind her, and she's like, oh my God, I got rid of my cloak. You know, you've got to bring that forward to people. All right. What is getting rid of the cloak look like? Maybe she's got her shirt all tied up, and now she says, I just want this open. I want to be free. She throws off a jacket or whatever in the car, and you start to see she's getting rid of all of that stuff. Okay. And that can come through any way you guys want, not the way I'm saying it, but show us what is happening for them. Okay. Anybody else have input, questions? Remember, tonight's about participation, not being quiet. Yeah, Pam.
I want to know, like, how is she breathing? She's doing something she hasn't done before, and she's like teetering on the edge of her comfort zone and this unknown. And like, how is her breathing? How is her posture? How, is the hair on her arms sticking up?
Is there an
Is that more
excitement?
descriptive, or is it?
Well, those are the ideas, and then you have to take it and put it into the feeling of it. You know, maybe all of a sudden she realizes that there's heat in her chest because her heart is pounding so hard that she's never felt this kind of passion in her life. So now she's going through a transformation. Okay. All right. Who's next? Come on.
Gloria, I'm going to go next, and I really don't feel comfortable reading mine because this is the first time I've done it.
What's your character's name?
Well, I do have a character name, Saucity.
I'm sorry?
Maybe it's not a good one, but Saucity, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sossity.
Okay. Saucity. Okay.
Okay, so what I wanted to say though, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to take this workshop, is everything I do 40 hours a week in my job is the opposite of what you're teaching us and showing us right now. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got to put fluff and emotion back in my writing.
Yes, you do.
You know, so these are the notes that I'm taking. When you said name your character, I named your Saucity right away. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I feel like
I
I'm
hear you
echoing.
fine. So,
okay.
So I want to know about her.
Right. So you were saying things as I was writing. So pardon me?
When you have her in your story.
She moves quickly, but is clumsy. I noticed I used too many L words, by the way. She feels deeply and intuitively. Saucity craves knowledge and loves to learn. That's as far as I got. And
Okay,
then
so good. Those are traits. And that's what you guys, you're getting the traits.
Right.
Now, how do you, you're going to work on this in your stories. Okay. How do you demonstrate the traits versus saying it? So if I'm to say in the story, Saucity, you know, is very intuitive. Well, how do I demonstrate that? Okay.
Right.
Maybe she's in a situation where she gets a feeling. So you're not telling me she's intuitive, you're showing me she's intuitive, okay?
Mhm.
Maybe she likes to do research or read certain types of books, and she's reading a certain type of book, and she starts to quote something in there showing that her level of knowledge is maybe scientific or something. And I'm like, oh, wow,
Mhm.
like science versus saying she's knowledgeable. Is-
Gotcha. Yeah, got
Okay.
it. But this is really interesting because I think just what I know of our brains, this is like I'm totally learning a totally different way to process this in
We
my
all are.
brain as it flows to the paper.
We all are. So
Yep.
in the beginning, and you didn't see the first day, in the beginning, I one of the things that we talked about was so many people don't accomplish their writing because of what we learned in English in school. All right. Everything was formatted, everything had outlines. And that's where a lot of this stuff, the way you're describing things, is coming from those parameters that was set. I need to start here, go here, go here,
Right.
go here. When you are creating something, you have to be in a creative mind.
Right.
And that
Well,
doesn't.
and it's interesting. It's, to me, this is just all interesting because my mind is naturally very whimsical. But and then I had to train my mind to be very direct and not fluff and no emotion. And now I feel like I'm going back the other way, but it's going to take time to get that.
And it's a blending because you need both when you're
Exactly.
writing, okay? You have to have your organization, which we talked about on day one as well. You have to have your organizational skills.
Yes, I printed
Okay.
that. Yes.
Because if you don't have that, you're going to be all over the place and you're never going to get through with anything because it's just going to be a cluster. Okay.
Right.
So we have to have those plans and those plots and that organization. But then we have to open up the other channel of creativity so there's room to breathe. Because here's the thing, your readers don't really want just you. They want the entertainment. They want the fantasy. They want the bizarre. Robin's here tonight. Hi, Robin. Robin, you know, she has a suspense thriller kind of thing, a mystery and stuff. And the only way she's going to keep her readers engaged in that, and the same with Irene, she's moving into that phase right now, is like, it has to be something you wouldn't do. And that's where Irene gets stuck, because when she writes, she only writes from what Irene knows and does. But now we have to get her into these other characters, because otherwise every character sounds the same. It's flat. Okay. So she's learning that process. And with Robin's, there's two key characters and a handsome guy that I will always remember because she brings them up. Okay. The one lady that's in there, the Native American lady that's the friend of her main character. I mean, I know that woman because she demonstrated the kindness and the compassion. She didn't say she was, she demonstrated it. Okay. And then Rosetta, through the story, you know, in the beginning, you don't really know her personality because she was in an accident, you know, they're taking her off to the hospital, but then she goes back and she has flashbacks. So you see little bits and pieces, but then later on, all these parts and pieces of her, you know, she's community oriented. She likes to volunteer. And then the artist part comes in, but then the investigator comes in and uncovers, you know, human trafficking in the mountains, you know, like, so she had to develop this character as she went along through this whole novel. It doesn't happen in the first chapter, guys. That's why I'm saying really get to know your characters. So like, if any of you have ever created like an ideal client list or an avatar list, has anybody ever done that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Robin has. Okay, so like when you're in business, this is something you have to do as well. You have to know your client, right? You need to know what's their age bracket, their income bracket. And you say, well, why do I need to know that about my character? Guess what? Because there's going to be parts and pieces of your character that might play a role. You need to know, do they like coffee or tea? Or they, you know, do they have, you know, early morning habits that are quirks that would annoy other people? You need to create your avatar. All right. Now your avatar has a lot of the characteristics you have for the main character, but you have more than one character in your stories. So they can't all be like you. So then maybe you're looking at each other. I need a character like Christine in my story. I need one like Laura, you know, I need one like Marla. What are the characteristics that I'm beginning to see and learn about each one of you that, guess what? You're going to be in my book. Because I don't know how to be that way, but I watch you. And then I can bring that in. So do some people watching. I love people watching. I think that's why I have fun with characters, because I love people watching. All right. Any questions? Daryl, you have any questions? You're new to this. You good? Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're writing so we can direct it towards your topic? You have to unmute.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So I had a guy and I called him Robert. And you know I like spiritual stuff. I really do like stuff. Okay. So I asked him, and if it's normal, if he thought it was normal to be in the way that I'm spiritual as I am. You know, because I get really nervous. I'm on stage. I've been on stage my whole life, and this is making me more nervous than anything. Okay. Isn't it weird? It's
You
so
want to know?
weird because,
No, you want to know something? I'm way better on stage than I am sitting where you are. Trust me. I get it.
yeah, that's like, wow. So anyways, I'm talking to this guy, right? And I want to know if he thinks that I'm like insane, you know, because some of the things that come into my head, they make a lot of sense to me. And, you know, sometimes when I talk to other people about certain things, they look at me like I'm insane. Then you got people like, when I talk to you, you say, I get it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm asking this guy. And then he answers, he says, I'm a caring and an opinionated person, willing to listen without judgment. I realize we all feel about others in relation to ourselves. Please tell me your story. I'd love to know more of what makes you tick. That was his answer. And
See,
I don't
he's
know if-
asking to know more about you too.
right. Yeah.
Okay,
You know.
so when you bring this part of you into your story, and one of the things you brought up was non-judgmental, how would you show that when you're writing versus saying it? What actions does someone do non-judgmental?
Maybe shaking your hand and sit down at the table and sit across from you and pay attention to you instead
Listen,
of acting
yeah,
like they're
listening skills.
ignoring
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
because to trust somebody, right, you'd have to feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd have to feel
do.
it because it I'm blah, 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 blah. Right?
Well, and here's why we're doing this, because I mean, I've written a lot of spiritual things as well. And we mentioned it, I think, in yesterday. I had taken a piece that was very easy to understand, something that was very spiritually higher consciousness. And if people weren't used to that, they don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So
Yeah.
even if you want to expose people to new things, we talked about beginner's mind yesterday. We have to bring people through those processes, through those steps, like developing the character, the scene, so that they understand.
Yes, because that's what I'd really like to do.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because I feel that other people experience the same type of things, but maybe they don't know how to put them into words. You know what I mean?
A lot of people.
And I think when you're looking for people that are sort of like you and that you want to bounce things off of, you know, you have to open them up maybe. And then all of a sudden, you know, I've had people, you know, because, you know, I sell puppies. And so when I'm talking to them, all of a sudden, I'm not even talking about that anymore. I'm talking about something totally different. You know, like I told you, my financial advisor, I don't talk about that stuff. I talk about everything spiritual with her, and I've never seen her in my life. And just being able to talk to people.
So here's
like
what I'm
that
going to
and put
say,
that out there.
Daryl. When you're writing, this goes for everybody, and you've got this other character in there, all of a sudden there's an alignment. There's a
what?
connection. There's an alignment and a connection.
Okay.
Oh, can you hear me? Because I hear it go
Yes,
again.
I can, yeah.
I'm going to put it down here, because this is important for all of you. I'm going to type it in here. You can have a situation where you have an antagonist that's not aligned with you. Okay. But if you're non-judgmental and you've got the compassion here and the open heart, and you have a non-defensive posture, you can meet that person somewhere and listen to them. And when they feel that respect and that connection, what begins to happen?
Trust. Right? Trust.
Yeah, they trust you. And then what begins to happen? They've been the antagonistic part of your story, let's say. How might that turn around if they now trust you?
Then they'll start talking about how they feel, right? Maybe.
Yeah. And they'll let you maybe talk about how you feel. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So who hasn't had a chance yet? I'm going to mute you. Feedback. Okay. Hamadou, do you have questions?
Yeah, so the question I have is about, my character and how can I put that or combine it into the story I would like to be engaged in. So in my perspective, it's about writing, as you said, non-fiction, but it's just, focusing on about a project, that can attract, people in terms of intercultural exchange, but
So here's the first thing I want to ask you.
Mhm.
You're going to be bringing up your culture in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Those are characters in the story. That is a culture of characters. It's a culture of ways. So when you can demonstrate what the culture is, and then I begin to understand that, or you can use you could make up somebody fictional, even in a non-fictional book, just to protect people out there, okay, non-identifiable. You can use somebody and you bring that person alive so that I begin to understand why your project's going to unfold the way it's going to unfold, right? So now I'm getting to know this character culturally and how they respond to everything. And then you bring in the other side of it, like John, he's from a different culture than you, and John has helped you, understand a lot of things, right? So you got someone like John, who not only is he quirky, but he's intelligent, right? He's got both sides of him. He's extremely brilliant, and yet he could be the quirkiest guy I know, all right? But you tapped into what with John? Where did you connect with John?
Yeah, okay. In fact, he's a character, one of the characters, in the story, but I haven't talked to him.
He's your professor.
I've just realized that I have to, get in touch with those characters, in the the
So there would
story,
be, right.
know,
So there would be the professor, the
Mhm.
professor
Yeah.
who opens you up to new knowledge, your cultural people that you're showing more indigenous ways, and then you. Who are you in all of this? And how do these two completely different sides of the universe come together where you have a purpose and a mission? I want to know your story. I want to know why you want to bring this to the world. I know you're very serious about it, but I don't know anything else about you. So if you were to tell me why you're so passionate about this project, when did it start? When did it start in your life, when you started to see some of this?
Okay, so I think, the journey starts, from my participation, to the T program. When I went to the States, realized the extent to which, the culture is well organized and well set, and compare it to my world, say, well, something needs to be done, which is, to bridge, connection with between the two cultures. So as
without losing the feeling of the indigenous culture and all it brings to the world.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
So,
Right.
so what I would love to learn, and you guys give input, what I would love to learn, I would love to learn about your culture. Okay. If I'm reading your book in here in the United States, and I want to know what help you need or what you think you need based on our culture, first, I want to know about yours.
Yeah.
I want to feel your culture. All right. And then I want to understand how the switch got flipped for you when you came to the United States, and what aha, what brilliance, what moment made you see things differently, and how did you feel when you saw things differently? Did it open your eyes to like a whole new flavor of life? And then when you sat with it and you started thinking, how can I make something work? So this is all the parts and pieces, but you have to bring in the cultural personalities, your professor who exposed you to these thoughts and ideas, his personality, his character, and then you're the main character. Your mission is to change something in this world. Okay? Because if I was just to write a book and say, well, I wrote this book because I want to talk about this, and all I do is talk about this, and people are saying, but how'd she get involved in this? Why does she have passion about this? What changed in her life that made her want to do this? People need to know about you. Okay?
Yeah, all right.
Because I don't, Marla put your culture and about your story. Yeah. So because I don't really know you a little bit, tell me something about you that is different than somebody else.
Okay, no, I have just, begun something which I wrote about, my characters. I want to read and share with you.
Can you do me a favor? Can you write it out in the group, because it's hard to hear? All right, write it out into the group page so that we all can see it.
Right now?
Later, put it in there and I'll go in and I'll read it and we can read it.
Okay, but for the time being, can I read it now?
How is it's not too long?
No, just okay.
It's just hard to understand with the internet.
Okay, good, no problem. I will paste it. I will put it, onto the.
Did you want feedback on it? Is that why you want to read it? You want feedback?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm gonna take, as you said, John has the character, and the name is Matic, All right.
It's very hard to understand you, so go ahead. I'm trying to hear it.
Okay, it's just how do you say the name?
Just read it. Just read it.
Okay, all right. So Matic is the top personality who, in his quest for better life, has taken the initiative to promote technology and advocate for its use by every single human being. He developed tools and techniques to help learn and apply technology in every domain of development. To reach his goal, he has put an emphasis on education. MacTech is the divine character, a super extraordinary man whose mission is to help people become someone of the 21st century. He is the true incarnation of the transformative and changing world, where his action is the gear and his message represents the shift to upgrade. He is the true man of the Bible.
Okay, so
That's it.
Matik, you?
Pardon?
Are you Matik?
Yeah, Matek is how to say, yeah, his name.
Okay, but it's you.
No, it's not me.
Who is it?
It's John.
It's John. I wasn't sure if it was John or you, because at first I thought it was John, but then when I started to hear some of the passion come in about things, I felt you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So do me a favor, put it in the group
Okay.
so I can read it, and then we can go in and, you know, help you and make suggestions of how to bring this forward in another way, okay? Because you got
Okay.
information there, but see, at first I thought it was John, because I know John, everybody, by the way. But then
Mhm.
I felt you, I felt the passion of making the changes in the world and stuff into the 21st century. I felt something shift in, did you guys feel it? Did you notice it? I felt it shift in your words where I can almost see you doing this stuff. So it took something else on when you were speaking. Okay?
Okay. But I can read for me, that's short, it's not so long. For myself, that's please let me see that point.
I'm really gonna ask you to put, I'm having a very hard time hearing.
Yes, go ahead, no problem. Yeah, all right,
I'm
I
gonna
will put it.
just put it in
Okay.
there, and then you and I
Yeah.
will connect, and everybody can help you too, okay?
Okay.
And all of you, if you have any pieces, you know, paragraphs or stuff that you want help with, put it in, because otherwise we'll be here to midnight, okay?
Yeah, all right, good, no problem.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm happy to help you in the group, and because we're a writing community, we're all gonna help each other. That is the best way to do it, okay? All right. So Irene, I want you to bring you on, and I want you to tell your story a little bit, because you started out like them here on a story virtual retreat, and then you went into group coaching. And what happened, you know, for you? What did you begin to learn? Help them understand how that process, that sequence builds, and where you went from simple poems to where you're going now.
Hello, everyone. Well, I still think my head is still in the poetry section. Well, I first started off writing poems short. I guess on some of them, Miss Gloria would say, I guess some of them were prose as well. I still need to know the difference between those two.
You mean you haven't looked it up yet?
I've looked it up and everything, but yeah, when I start writing, I'm like, okay, what did I just write? A poem or a prose? But yeah. But I started off first with a virtual retreat with Miss Gloria, and it put into more of a learning perspective on how to do character development in that one, because we were on the Train Express.
We did all character development for 3
Yeah.
days. Sharon
For
was
3
there.
days.
Yeah.
We were on the Train Express, and my character was one character I never tried before because it's not my personality, but it helps getting out of the comfort zone because you're trying something new. Say someone who's only ever played volleyball, and now you're all of a sudden they're gonna learn how to dribble a ball and play basketball. So kind of felt that way, but
and you hung in, did it? Just like Sharon. Sharon had a character that she became the plot twist that I didn't even see in that virtual retreat, which was awesome. She got out of her comfort zone. Right, all of us. Pam was in it, you know, so she was doing different things. But understand, tonight I can't do everything in character development, because just like Irene said, that was a 4-day training. All right, I'm giving you bits and pieces through these last couple of days of working with this, and because Laura had asked about, can we do a little bit of something, I'm just giving you a little bit of something right now. But next month, maybe we'll do another longer one with character development. Okay, so you got out of your comfort zone with that. You learned how to start doing that. What happened next?
Well, then came the group coaching. Group coaching was learned from everybody, actually. Not only from Gloria, but also in a way, I guess you could say, learn from where everybody's mind is actually is. And you get different ideas. is
Mastermind part of it, just like we try to do
yeah,
here.
you're not only stuck in your own head,
Yeah.
but you get to learn, feel in a way, from what I felt when Jenny would speak, is like, okay, I'm not in my own skin anymore. I feel like I'm now where she's bringing her character. It's like, now you're not feeling yourself. It's you got these ideas coming in from other people. You get the help from everybody else. The challenges are there.
And so I want to ask you a question, because you brought something up good, a good point there. You know, you're listening to everybody else sharing their stories, their characters, and you're getting to know that character, right? Like you're starting to feel that character. Did you find it started to help you look at your characters differently when you decided to write a little differently?
You repeat that, you kind of went out.
When you were learning about like Jenny's character or Pam's character, whoever was in the group coaching at the time, and to see how they wrote, okay, how they developed a character. Did it start to help you look at your writing differently?
In a way, yes, because I was more into rhyming, or whenever I would finish a poem in the first line, if I finished on a certain word, I would rhyme it with a different one and continue on the phrase. So
but I mean,
it took me out of that too. It took me out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't rhyming anymore. I was now telling a story.
You started telling short stories, exactly.
Yes.
Even
and
now,
I don't tell short stories.
And well, yes, you do. So see, you guys have got
okay, I didn't.
Don't do, okay? I can't.
I didn't do short stories. There,
you
much
didn't
better.
do, but now you can. Yes, because every chapter is a short story, right? So
that's where it clicked.
Back to that moment, and you think back to even this week, you know, with working with people, and you're seeing different personalities here. Is it starting to click for you, and does it help you, and will it help them to start looking at, oh, that character would be really good. Maybe I'll take on some of that. Did you see that evolving for yourself?
I see it. Not that I'm gonna steal anybody's ideas, no, but it's good. No, but it's good seeing other perspectives, not only what I'm focused on, like a horse who only sees forward, but seeing how the light changes. You're not just on green, but now you're seeing orange, you're seeing yellow. Now you got more light into it. One thing that you said earlier to me was, because I was still stuck in mine, in how I was writing my story, and I still couldn't get out of it. Right, each chapter is a short story. So if I need to make, I getting already to the part where my character is gonna be throwing a whole tantrum in the hospital. And so now is not thinking, okay, I need to bring this chapter in. No, now it's thinking, oh, how can I develop it into a short story and create the emotions coming out of her, set the scene. So now is getting easier to do that part.
How long have you been working on all of this? Let them know.
This story
process. No, the whole process.
The whole process. Actually, it's already been a year since working with you. It's already been a year.
So see, she's going through stages. So like each one of you are writing a certain way, maybe have a certain idea, don't think you can do something. Everybody starts there. Everybody does. And then when the potential begins to shine through, and I nudge, you know, try this, try that, open to this, new ideas start to come. And so she went from poetry to short story to writing a novel in 1 year. But you did something, you were consistent. So after the group coaching, what did you do that helped you on another level?
I still followed along. I still followed you along. I saw that I could do a bit more. So I started going with everything else that you were posting up, how to develop a character. You don't stop posting those. You always been posting those. And then you did the North Carolina retreat.
The mini retreat, yeah.
and I jumped into it.
Because you and Pam both did that. What did that do for you?
I don't see. I don't travel much. I don't travel much. My traveling has been from my home to Nicaragua and back home.
Okay, but
And
what
if
did
I've
it,
worked,
what did
that's
it, did it open a new world?
So going to North Carolina, the mountain views, the cave, it mind blowing.
So what did
At
it
least
do
for me.
the character Irene, that when she wrote her short story, how did it change your writing?
You see, I didn't know my writing was going to change at all until that night when we had to do the short story for the next day. The entire day when you gave us that moment, I was still sketching in the book, scratching off how to make it better. And until that night.
So it clicked that night.
It clicked even better on how to write it.
Yeah, Pam, I'm going to have you chime in. When she read her short story, because she doesn't remember this, okay? Do you remember the reaction we all had to her short story?
Yeah, it was like, holy crap. I was like, yay, Irene. That was awesome.
She broke through the
Wow.
gate.
Well, and like she grabbed us. The story grabbed us, and Irene has like a natural ability, and that you obviously don't know about, but
She doesn't.
it just was like this easy flow, and it was impactful, very impressive.
Yeah, and so you see, she not only did different stages, she had to try different experiences, because if we're always in our same experience, sort of like you, Hamid, you came to the United States and had a different experience, and it opened your eyes to a new purpose and mission. Same thing happens for us. If we only stay to what we're accustomed to and we don't know anything else, well, it's hard for us to write different things. And that began to open your creativity. So then you continued, and then what happened?
Even though I got great feedback from everybody in North Carolina, the trigger that I guess for everyone that starts in the beginning, it started grabbing me again, which was doubt. And even with the good feedback, I still had in my head, it was still, was it really good enough? And so Gloria helped a lot because she was still persistent. She was still on top of me. And with the story, she helped me in the retreat, and is still helping me now, being more persistent and pulling along the strings. And no, yeah, even with the doubts, even with the I'm not good enough, it's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be there, but
No, it's not. It's not gonna always.
I mean it in the way that whenever we want to try something new, it's gonna try and hinder.
Yeah.
And it depends on us if we want it to actually keep us hindered with a chain around our ankles and not wanting us to move, or we actually do something about it, grab the keys to the chain and say, no, I'm not staying here. And that's still the experience I'm getting now, because I don't want to stay trapped here. And the trip to Arizona also helped open to another channel.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Feeling like you can't get somewhere, you don't know how it's going to happen. The moral of her story here is everything has its timing with different experiences, but the thing is, she is consistent and she's tenacious. And even when the group coaching program is over, doesn't mean I don't stop working in these groups with you. A lot of you are in the future authors group and like are even saying, I'm always posting things. I'm always educating you. In the one we have for now with crafting your story, there's a lot of information there that I hashtag everything. So you can type something, like let's say you say day one and stuff for day one will come up. But if you write editing, stuff on editing will come up. So look at the hashtags that I'm using and you'll find the information in there. So Irene and Sedona made the commitment to write her novel this year and publish it. So let's cheer her on because that in 1 year got her to that point. Yay.
Thank you.
You know, very, very proud of this girl because I'll tell you something else. A year ago, she would have not been up here speaking. She would have been in the background. She would have
Still
been
in the background.
yeah. But she's learning to shine. And this October in the Sedona retreat, those of you that are coming or want to come still, she's going to be one of the people that helps you move through something. So what is your take? What are you going to be adding to the workshop to entice them of how you're going to help them? Because you had to build your confidence. You had to come out of the shadows.
I'm still building it.
But how are you going to help them?
Well, at least from one of my main ones that has been from the very beginning and still wants to keep chasing me. And I know the number one is always going to be fear. Because the starting point that starts grabbing everybody is fear. And
so are you going to be, I'm going to move you along here because it's getting late. Okay. And I still have stuff to cover. So it's going to be giving them certain things to help them understand how to move through it. Things that you, okay.
Yes.
All right. Cool. So you'll get to work with somebody that lived in that fear. And here she is now writing her book, very coachable in the process, developing these characters now so that they don't all sound the same. All right. And by the end of the summer, early fall, that book will be published. And that's quite an accomplishment in a year and a half. Okay. Now you learned the other day about time, right? And how to use time. And if you exercise and you typed your words and you saw how many words you can actually do in an hour, and then you figure out, well, how many hours does it take to do 40,000 words? Pamela realized today, and we talked last night, she's like, damn, I could have my book done in a week. I work for a week. Why can't I write my book in a week? Exactly. You all have to shift that mindset. If you want to work towards a goal, you can do it a lot quicker than you think. Robin's also going to be in Sedona. And Robin, you know, we talked about the other day, she's got the book coming out very soon. It's in formatting right now, in design formatting, Out of the Darkness. And Robin, what are you going to help people through based on your experience of writing a suspense novel?
Well, it's going to be more how it can be fun. I mean, I want people to realize that writing is fun and it doesn't have to, and when something is fun, you're less likely to get bogged down in the fear, the doubt, because it's just having fun. It's just playing a game. When I write, I'm just laughing and I'm honestly laughing. I love my characters. I could read the book over and over.
There you go. She loves her characters and you have to love what you're doing, okay? If it's not bringing you that passion and that ease, like Robin says, I love my characters. It's got to be fun. I'm having fun with mine now. I'm doing that. I'm laughing. I'm hysterical. I'm like, oh my God, what is she doing next? You know, because I don't know. I'm allowing her to speak through me. If it's bogging you down, like Robin said, then take a little break, a breather, go out for a walk in nature, whatever, go dance, listen to music, you know, do some breathless writing. But you need to find that sweet spot that no matter what you're writing, what you're channeling, what your information is, it has to bring you joy. Even when I did nonfiction books that were like coaching books and manuals and stuff, I have passion behind them. And I did them even faster because they were easier for me, you know, when I was doing all the education and the healing arts and all. Fiction's a different world for me, but it's fun. You got to make it fun. So if you're getting super serious about all this, take a break and restart. What would you say about that, Robin?
Yes, restart, or just, come at it from a different point of view. See your character from a different point of view, from another character's point of view. But what I heard you say, Gloria, I know you said breathless, but I heard reckless. Reckless writing, and I thought that is so
That could
perfect.
work.
Yes, reckless writing, just get reckless. Do
I
something
like
like,
that.
crazy.
So you're going to teach them reckless writing.
Yes, I can teach
I
them.
love it. See, a whole new thing developed. I love it. Awesome. Awesome. So if anybody wants information on it or wants to come and join us there, please get registered soon, because I have a whole bunch of early registration discounts that are going off, and it's going to go back to limiting thousands of dollars literally of extras. And so just reach out to me. I'll put the site up here too if you haven't looked at it. There's a lot of information on the site. There's also a group that we've had for Sedona that started with the first one in February where Irene came. So there's information in there too. And Teresa's been following that. And I know Marla's in there every day, like, oh my God, I want to do that too. And she's like, you put something else in. And then Teresa's like, oh my God, you're bringing a medicine man and sound healing. I gotta be there, So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a little reckless. It's gonna be breathless. But, one of the things that I decided to do with this, because it can be out of character for a lot of people, one of the tours that we're doing on a Jeep up to the 7 sacred pools, the 7 sacred pools have been calling me on a spiritual level, okay? And it's surrounded by what's called a mountain, a soldier's pass, and it looks like soldiers. So there's also that protective energy. But then they described it, cowboys are taking us up there, and you're gonna let your cowgirl or your cowboy out. And I thought, reminded me of what you were saying earlier, Daryl, what makes you spiritual? You're out there banging drums every day on Facebook. Yeah, that's spiritual, but so is being a cowboy and a cowgirl when you're out of character. You can be reckless. You can do stuff that is fun, experiences that you never had that show you a new world. Like Christine's character, Jackie, she needs to get a little reckless. She needs to experience recklessness so she knows how to write about it. So this is why we do the retreats, because it can take you into an experience that maybe you haven't had, or you watch other people experiencing it for the first time. And that gives you ideas too about how to present your myriad. Yes, it's like acting in a play. Last year when I was doing a couple of these retreats, and the one that Sharon, Irene, I think Pam was in it with the character development, they all like, is this a drama course? Is this an acting course? Well, in a sense it is, because you have to animate your stories. You have to bring them alive, no matter, granted nonfiction, maybe not as much, but you still want people to be interested. Yes, Pamela.
So when we were in North Carolina, one of the days we went on an excursion was to an old mine. And before we went into the mine, we had to go into the mine as a character.
Yeah, that's what's cool.
And so everybody chose a character, and we were that character at the mine, and then we wrote about it afterward. That was very helpful.
Especially since Pamela decided to be a ghost.
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, I was a ghost.
She was a ghost. And the interesting thing is I was taking pictures, and there was a phenomenon that happened in one of her pictures too. Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. So it was interesting to watch everybody play their characters, who wanted to be an old miner or a cowboy or her ghost, or, an escaped woman from her abusive husband, whatever it was. But it was interesting to observe everybody, because it gives all of us ideas. If I wanted to write about a ghost, a spirit in my book, but I got to witness what she did and how she did it, I was like, ooh, that's intriguing. How can I write that in there? So this is why experiences take you into the movie of your book, right? They don't keep you just at a desk in a small little place trying to figure out a bigger world, especially in a fictional book. You got to get out and experience the world, okay? So anybody have any questions before I move on? Any comments? So I know you'd probably like a lot more on character development, right? Yes or no? Tell me. Yes.
Hello?
Got one yes. I won't do, of course, if nobody says yes.
Hello?
Got a couple yeses there. All right. So I'm planning to do another one of these in April. Okay. Hopefully, if not beginning of May, and bring to you what you're looking for. And like we did character development for 3 full days or 4 full days the last time, not just an hour and a half, it will take you into that. And what we did is we assigned everybody a character to play, and it was fun. Christine, were you in that one? You would, this would be good for you. This would be really good for you. Okay, so we'll do some character development and we'll make it fun. Sharon, what did you find fun about the last time that we did it? And what would you like different this time?
It was really fun because I felt like we were all into the adventure. And then all of a sudden you think you had it down, something would change. And it felt very exciting. Like it's all fantasy, but it's like comedy and fun. And how I would change it, that's a tough one.
What would you
I
add
really
to it? What would
enjoyed
you like more of? If we had to create a new scene, this, and all of you can give me input. We did a trip in France on the Orient Express, and it was like a murder mystery kind of thing. Nobody really knew what was going on. Okay, Teresa, we'll talk later. But in the end, I didn't even know what was going on, and I was the only one that really knew because Sharon threw in a major plot twist that was phenomenal, and totally out of character for her. So if you want, we can create something like that again, where we're on a trip somewhere and you have to play these different characters. How's that sound?
I think it sounds great.
Okay. All right. So I'll work on that. In the meantime, I want to go over some things because several of you have asked me some questions, but I also want to show you what I sent you in an email. So you should have received this PDF about the fundamentals in writing. All right. If you did not, please let me know. Okay. Because that gives you another simple outline of different things to follow. And then the other thing I want to, where'd it go? Everything always disappears on here on me. All right, let me try to get it up again. I want to tell you, since Irene brought up the group coaching too, I want to explain a little bit more about that because this also is something that can help people that need a slower process, number one, and they want more time to work with others. Like she was saying, it was very helpful for her to learn from everybody. So let me explain what happens there and what that looks like for you. And if this works for you, then it might be an ideal situation for you to really get moving into your book, okay? So this is all about story development, okay? Taking your story, whatever it is, and spending, you heard me talking about 90 days all along, right? Well, yes, it's going to be 90 days of working with me plus 10 extra days to prep for a total of 100 days. And in those 100 days, we're going to have a group just like this. But I'm not just going to do group coaching in there. In the very beginning, when I started, that's where it was. There was no personal one-on-one with me. But I changed that over the last ones. I keep improving things because I realize, you know what? You do need one-on-one coaching. And one-on-one coaching for 3 months is pricey. But one-on-one coaching, when I can do it with you in here, like at least once a month, plus the group coaching, it's so beneficial. So you're getting a full 100 days to work with me. You're getting the group page, like Irene was saying, to get to know everybody, their different ideas, the feedback, the masterminding. If you don't know what masterminding is, it's using the master of your mind. When we brainstorm, it's going into that breathless writing space, kind of into that channel where new ideas come So like, let's say somebody wants to cook a hamburger and they just cook it regular, but somebody else says, well, you can put it on a barbecue, and somebody else says, put it in an air fryer. So I'm just using silly things, of course, but it gives you other parameters of ideas of what you can do that you didn't think about. You're also going to get 4 consultations with me. And what that means is when you submit a chapter to me, I am spending a good 2 hours of time working on it, through it, making suggestions, showing you things that you have to like maybe correct or something. Then we spend an hour. So really it's not just 4 1-hour sessions. It's 16 hours of working on your work. Okay. In the group, you're going to get writing prompts. You're going to get all sorts of resources in there. I'm also offering bonuses, okay, to get you more involved in all this and get more excited about it. So in the first 10 days, you're going to have a full coaching session with me. We're going to go over everything with you about your idea, what it is you want to bring to the world. I'm going to give you guides, just like the one I showed earlier, to help you with the different stages. And then later on, if you decide you want to publish, publishing is free, by the way, but the work to get there is not. Okay. So when people say don't pay for publishing, that's right. Go click the button for free, but it's everything else. It's the coaching, it's the editing, it's the design, it's the layout. You will get a discounted price towards that. Okay. And then if you wanted to do additional one-on-one coaching sessions with me during the group coaching, because you feel it's beneficial, then you get 30% off my regular price for that. So by working in a group environment like this, I can present more to you. And yes, you get your first 30-minute session to review your work this week. So when you say, yes, I want to do this, before we even get into the 10 days, I'm going to give you a 30-minute session to just go over your idea and see what we're going to work on for the next 100 days. Yes, you can write. And so all of you wrote different things in these last few days. You did great, and you're going to develop more skills. And yes, you could be publishing in 2022, especially if you already have some work started. But here's the thing, we got to remove those blocks, those excuses, and work on that inner resistance like Irene was talking about, in order for you to accomplish your goals. So when you say yes and you bring that out to the world, let me tell you something, the world is going to bring a lot back to you as well and fulfill your dream. So what does this all look like? Well, we still have extra bonuses here, okay? So one of the other editors that I know, she's offered as well to take one chapter up to 2,500 words and do line editing, that very detailed editing. So by the time we've cleaned this up with you, I'll send one of those chapters over to her. And if you like what she's doing, you could always hire her extra in the end to do that up level of work. But at least you get a chance to see and the suggestions she makes. Okay. So this is a package that's actually valued over $10,000, believe it or not. So the group coaching with everything that goes in there and all the masterminding and everything, that is normally $25.95. The 4 personal sessions with the review of your work that I do for 2 hours is about $1,500 or more. The 8 webinar trainings, which are 16 hours total, is equivalent to $3,200. The 10 days extra with me plus the consultation is $1,295. All the different booklets you're going to get is $400. The free edit by the editor is $300. The mastermind interactive group for 14 weeks is $400. But if you decide that this is resonating with you and you want to get started and moving forward, put a deposit on and 2 installments, okay? A deposit of only $350. But what does it cost, Gloria? Well, it's normally $25.95, okay? I'm taking a whole $1,000 off of it to $1,595. But if you decide by March 28th, okay, which is the end of tomorrow, to do this and pay in full, you can get it for $9.95 just by saying, yes, I want to do this, Gloria, okay? Then I'm throwing in an extra bonus. People finish this stuff and they don't know what to do yet. They write, they edit, and then they have to publish. Some people want to self-publish. They don't want to pay for all the extras. I'm going to explain the process of self-publishing, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the benefits, and the benefits of working with somebody. That's a value of $1,500 for that extra training. Absolutely free. Sounding really good, isn't it? So your complete package is only $1,595. You enroll with me by 28th, you get it for $9.95, including the free publishing workshop. And that begins to put you on your road to success. But there's more. There's absolutely more. There's also an opportunity to put a short story in a collaborative book. And tomorrow, I'm going to announce something very special about that. But for tonight, this is what you're looking at. You've got 100 days of coaching. If you've ever done coaching with anybody one-on-one for like 3 months or so, you can be paying $5,000 and up. And trust me, I've paid $50,000 for a coach once, okay? Crazy, insane, but it was Bob Proctor and that's what he charged. And he was, an amazing inspiration. So you're gonna get all of this, everything that I have mentioned for $15.95. But if you still wanna save more money, you pay in full by tomorrow for $9.95. So that's what I'm offering to you guys so that you can take your work to the next level. All right. You can work with me and the group, just like Irene was saying, it was so valuable to work with the group. We're going to go way more in depth than I could ever do with here. So the breathless writing and the stacking that Blondie, I didn't forget, see, that you wanted to know about, we're going to take that to new levels. And the stacking is when that breathless writing comes in and you have that idea, okay, you have that first idea. And like yesterday when Marla had Sterling talk through her, then we suggested, well, now take her and do some breathless writing on that particular scene. And then what happened and evolved, because we were in a group, Jenny said and got in touch with her and said, oh my God, I have this idea that she grabs a flute from somebody and went into a whole nother direction. So not only are you learning to stack, meaning getting more and more information from your character speaking, from the different ideas that they give you each time you stack upon that, you're getting the mastermind group, which says, what about this? What about this? Okay. And you're like, oh gosh, I didn't even think of that. Now you may react and say, no, I don't want to do that. But what happens if you try it and you realize something else magical comes of it? Your story is just going to go down a whole beautiful path, just like Irene's. She was really stuck in just doing something a certain way. And now we had her on a Zoom call with a few of us about 2 weeks ago. And we're like, the character, she's always so nice and sweet. Well, that's Irene, isn't it? She's nice and sweet. Well, people reading the book are going to get boring after a while because the character is really angry, pissed off, has amnesia, finds out that, during these years of amnesia, when she was pregnant, her baby disappeared. All these things are happening, but she's very sweet. I said, what would you like to really do? And so she brought up a part of her that's not normally her. And we saw that anger, we saw that vengeance, and that's what's got to come in the story. But she wouldn't do it if she was on her own because there's nobody prompt her. So Marla wants to know when this is going to start. This is going to start in mid-April, okay? So $350 gets you started, all right? Then we set up the 2 installment payments after that for you. That works out during those 100 days. So by 100 days, you are going to have, if you follow the recipe for timing, okay, you could have a complete draft manuscript before it gets edited and so forth to go to publishing. But the process is going to help you develop your characters, learn how to do the story arc, which we did not cover in this 6-hour training. We can't possibly cover everything. So you need to know how a story is supposed to flow. We need to make sure you have what they call the beats, that it's moving along in a pace that keeps people's interest. We'll discuss different, twists and turns or plot twists that maybe you want to bring into, and maybe you don't see one. And all of a sudden we're coming up with an idea. And this is what happened with Jenny when she had this whole scene. And I'm like, yeah, but tell me more about it. So she was describing everything. And there was a mother of this character in there. And she was really wicked and evil and insane. And she's kind of just in the background. And I said, but what if? I can't tell you what happened because you have to get her book. I said, but what if? And she goes, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. And so it took this huge plot twist. Did you read the book yet, Pam? Okay, you got to read it because it's a story that, and all of you should get while she was dreaming. Even if you don't like, books that are like this, she's actually an intuitive and an empath. And it starts with dreams. There's the picture. bring it in. It starts with a dream, but the dreams that she has actually, as the story goes along, they actually are about past lives that she's had, but each one was about the abuse that women went through culturally from these different regions in the world. We didn't know this in the beginning. This evolved through the story. But in present day, she's a counselor, and then there's a stalker from one of her clients, and then there's another stalker, and we have to find out who it is. And the funny thing is, Patty, who you guys met yesterday, the editor, she is so well read, Patty, and she loves mysteries. She got a hold of me one day. She goes, I think I know who it is. I think I know who it is. And she was wrong. And I was so happy she was wrong. She said, I'm wrong. I'm like, you're wrong. Wait till you see. So this is what happens when you work with us, okay? We see things differently that can make your story even surprise the editor who reads all these type of books. And when she doesn't know what's happening, that's a good thing. It means we are on point. So if anybody is interested in doing this, get in touch with me, say yes, I'll get in touch with you. We will set you up. I will do a consult with you this week to even discuss your idea, the way you want to take it, what you want to do with it, what your dream and vision is. And then by mid-April, we will actually begin the 10 days. So really it's more like May is the formal group coaching. But what I find is everybody needs those 10 days, right, Irene, right, Pamela, you need it. Because you're going to need certain supplies. You're going to need to organize. You're going to get the plan, the step-by-step of what you got to do. So when you say, oh, you've been out here, Gloria, and you're floating around here. Well, Gloria is also very organized. And I can be very anal and ridiculous sometimes. So for me to get out of my comfort zone and be carefree and have fun, that's the part I love with the story development. But it's got to get you there, right? So for 10 days, we're going to get you set up. We're going to help you, support you, make sure you got everything you need, and do your first initial full consultation with something that you write, okay? So then I'm going to get to see, like, where are you starting from? What is your writing like? What do I have to work with for you? And then by May, once I have all of that done, and we're going to be in the group coaching program, okay, a Facebook group. We might even keep this one and just take out people that aren't going to join us, because it's easy that way. I'm already going to be in there. Like Irene says, I'm always posting things. I'm always putting things. So you're going to have information. And if you're writing a certain way, like Hamadou is writing, you know, from a very personal, heart-centered mission, and I have to approach him differently, then I will do that. Absolutely will do that, okay? But the basics of writing is pretty much the same for all of us. Yeah, it is a steal, and I'm never, ever going to offer it this low again. I can tell you that, okay? So it is a phenomenal value for all of you. And the fact that you get all this additional one-on-one coaching with me every month, including 2 webinar trainings like this for 2 hours, for a total of 16 hours, plus in group. So you'll see me in the group, like I'll be in there daily, and I might do Facebook Lives, and I get spontaneous tips. Like maybe I'm reading something that Hamadou or Blondie or Sharon wrote, and I'm like, oh, I got to go in there and do a live. I got to address this. You know, maybe Christine posts something about her story, and I'm like, oh, I got to go do a live and address it. So you might see me coming in and doing many little trainings throughout the week, just to keep you on point, on task, and motivated. Okay. So does anybody have any questions?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, well, okay, my question is about, you know, the characters, you said that there are 2, the protagonist and the antagonist, right?
I can't hear you. Say that
I said
again.
can you hear me well?
Yep.
Okay, good, thank you. So about the characters, you were talking about, 2 kinds, the protagonist and the antagonist, right?
Yeah, the protagonist, the antagonist. In yours,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about this. Yeah, your
Well,
antagonist, your antagonist is basically situations in the world.
Okay.
Because you don't have necessarily a character, maybe you do, but because you're writing about changing what's happening in Africa based on what you've learned in the United States, you're going to look at it from a different perspective of the antagonist, the things, the villain, the things that go wrong, the governments, okay? Those are the antagonists. They don't provide what the people need. Okay, so it's like the good person, the good guy and the bad guy kind of thing. That would be something I feel that based on what you've told me so far would be how you would address that. Okay?
Good. Thank you. Yeah, got
Okay.
the answer. Right, thank you.
Yeah, Marla, I'll talk to you all about it. Okay, so we'll set up a chat. So I would love to see more of you doing this. I would love Sharon to get that book out. She's been on so many trainings with us. I think you just need to jump in and do this, girl, because you're going to kick yourself in the butt the next time you see the price. Okay. And I give my guarantee you will be inspired. You will improve your writing skills. You will up level everything to get your manuscript really polished. And the people that I work with later on, if you want to work with them, designers and stuff, you're going to have beautiful designs. You're going to have beautiful interiors. But if you want to do it yourself, that's fine. And I know Blondie publishes things herself too. So you can do that. But a lot of self-published books don't look professional. So like in Hamadou's case or anybody's case, if you want to gain credibility and you want people to look at you as a professional, then you want a professional image, you want a good cover and layout, and you want to make sure it reads well. So that's why I do offer the package like Irene has taken and others to make sure your book is polished. But if for whatever reason you can't do it that way, that's why I'm throwing in the publishing webinar, self-publishing, so that I can tell you what platforms you can use. There's a lot of programs out there now that you can go in and format things yourself if you're got a little technology behind you, okay, that doesn't hinder you from doing that. I play around with them all the time, but I'll be honest with you, I'd rather somebody else just take that off my plate, to be honest with you. But if it's easy for you and you don't mind, then there are these formats out there and I can talk to you about them, show them to you, and you can start to cut your expenses back a bit with the publishing. But most people I have find come back to me and say, can we just hire the designer and do this? Because it's time consuming. It actually sometimes take you more time than it would to write your book, to be honest with you. So I'm here for questions. You can reach out to me privately. The sooner we get you signed up, then the sooner we can start working together. But officially it will begin the first 10 days, the middle of April. And then we will start in May, really diving into everything. So Marla, do you have questions about it?
I'm going to be right in the middle of moving to Arizona. So
Yeah.
I'll probably miss that first 10 days. I want to sign up. So I'm okay with catching up in May or at the beginning.
And the things that you're going to do in the first 10 days is kind of some of the stuff we talked about here already to organize. So it's not like you're going to have to write stuff for me. I mean, if you have something written from now before you move, we could work on that. Okay. We could work on that. And that's not a problem. The reason I threw in the extra 10 days the last time we did this group coaching is because the first week it was like all the basic questions were coming up and I was like, oh, we just got to give you guys the time before that. So when we go into our first week, we are working. Okay.
Okay, great.
Anybody else have questions? We're all good. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to go over publishing and you can go in the group and ask questions. What would you like to know? You can tell me here right now. What would you like to know? I'm going to give a crash course in that tomorrow. Oh, I know what I got to do right now. We got to spin the wheel and see who won some prizes tonight. This is random, by the way. There are 3 prizes to give away if you're present. So let me go and pull that up. I'm glad I remembered. Somebody should have reminded me, prizes. So let's get rid of this. Oh, what is it called? I put everybody's name in here. So because I can't see everybody there right now, I know Marla, Irene, Laura, Pamela, Christine, who else? We got Gerald. Who else am I missing here? Help me out, guys. In the US, unfortunately, Hamadou, I could send you something in the email but I can't ship there. Who am I missing? Can you guys tell me, unmute and tell me? Sharon, how could, yeah, okay, who else?
Blondie? Is
Blondie.
Blondie there?
Blondie, thank you. Okay, so you're all in the US, so you'll qualify for this, okay? All right.
Lori.
Who?
Lori.
Lori? Okay, thank you.
She's still there.
Okay, so I've got Marla, Irene, Laura, Pamela, Christine, Daryl, Sharon, Blondie, and Lori. And Hamadou, I'll have to figure out something for him. Okay, we ready? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so our first winner is Laura M. Okay. Our second one is Christine. And our third one is Irene. Okay, so let me write this. I need each of you to send me your address, okay? So we got Christine, Irene, and Laura, right? So each of you, well, not each of you, Christine and Laura are going to get a journal to start working on your writing, okay? And then Irene, do you have this book already? Which one don't you have that's a collaborative? You let me know and we'll
I
just,
have them.
you have them all? You want to give it away to somebody else then?
Yeah.
Let's spin. Let's see who's going to get it. Okay, so let's see. Sharon. Okay, so Sharon, do you have this one?
No,
Okay, all right.
thank you.
So-
And Gloria, you can
Yes.
give mine away too, because I already have a journal.
Okay, so we'll spin again?
Yeah.
Okay. Marla. All right. Okay, well, Marla's gonna need it, so that's good. All right, so I will mail these out as soon as you get me your address, okay? If you have any of your blurbs that you want to put in the group that you want some help with, you're stuck maybe on the character, the scene, the idea, whatever, please put it in the group. I will check it before we meet tomorrow and I will go over it because we just didn't have time to do everybody, you know, that way. And I don't want you to miss out on that because I promised that to you. So get a short paragraph of something, a part of your story or your idea that you're stuck on, or maybe the character development, go in the group and post it and tag my name on it so I find it, all right? And then I will go through these tomorrow. Tomorrow night when you come back, I will go over it with you, okay? Do you need anything else that you would like covered tomorrow in publishing or anything that you can think of? Yes, Pamela.
What you want us to share, is there a word limit?
Is there what?
A word limit, a paragraph?
For the,
Whatever.
just something you're stuck on, nothing long, because it's not a long coaching thing. It's,
Mhm.
you got a paragraph or so, several hundred words where you're just having a challenge. Maybe it's you're having a challenge opening your story. Like you don't know how to do the hook. You don't know how to grab the person. You know, maybe that's your challenge. Maybe you're really stuck on how to make the character really come alive. And so you have something that you wrote out about them and you're like asking for suggestions or comments or something. So that's what I want you to do. I can't do a whole chapter. I mean, that's full on blown coaching. Okay. takes me a couple hours to do that. So short little things, something you want help with. So like, you know, like Christine, something that you could do would be like something with your characters, so we can go in and look at it and see what we can do to help you with that, to get out of the comfort zone, because now I know a little bit about where she wants to go, who she wants to be. So go and write something, and then let's see what happens. Oh, and tomorrow there will be a grand prize winner, okay, from the most participation in the group and here, but you have to be live to be presented, and it will be two full-on coaching sessions. So you'll get full evaluations on your chapters, 2 chapters. I will mark it up, explain things, give suggestions, show you where flow or something may need to change, whatever it is. And then we'll do 2 full one-on-one hour sessions. And this is not for writers. I'm working with Irene, sorry. Okay. This is for the newbies, okay? So you have that opportunity, but if you haven't been participating, you may need to step it up. And it's not just like, hello, that's not participating. It's participating in the work that we're doing. So that's why I said, get your little paragraphs in there. Got questions? If you're asking me questions, then I know you're participating and you want to learn. Okay. So I've been watching, like, even each evening, like who's engaging. So you have an opportunity to win that. And that's a $695 value. Okay, that is absolutely free. So it'll be a great gift for one of you that show up tomorrow if you're the one that's been participating the most. Okay. All right. So what was your takeaway tonight? What helped you tonight with looking at your characters? Yeah, Laura.
Trying to like kind of like you were saying with the painting, that really resonated with me because I paint intuitively, and so I do the background and then building on that and then building on that.
Building, yeah.
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
part of that stacking, only I use the artist's point of view. Yeah. Okay, good. Anybody else? The difference between description and describing. Yeah, you want to demonstrate. You want to, yeah. Yeah, Pamela?
I really like the questions you presented to ask our character to help bring them to life instead of describing them, which is always, I mean, I know I get it sometimes, and then other times I don't. And
We're all
then
that way. It happens to all of us.
and then when you and Irene were talking about a chapter being a short story, I'm like, wow, mind blown. Thank you.
And that's really what it is. It's just a short story, but she was getting so stuck on the whole picture. That's when it hit me to communicate with her that way. Think of your chapter as a short story. And then it went bing. So it happened for you too. Yeah, Laura, you too?
So if the small, just this popped in my head. So if all the chapters are like small, short stories, then the whole thing is like a run-on story, like put them together. It's kind of like a
Right,
run-on.
and it's all got to flow. And that's what I teach in the coaching, is how to make that all connect and flow, because it has to, and there has to be consistency. So no matter what you're writing about, you have got to look at how does everything tie in so that it makes sense. And even if you're writing a manual, let's say, a lot of us do that for coaching businesses and stuff, wherever you start, you still have to have that consistency with each chapter that you're bringing your person through to develop. Maybe this it's a coaching thing, transformational spiritual development. You still need that. You don't just stop and leave off and like, okay, what happened? Okay. All right. What else has helped you guys? Now that you've got, some of you went through the whole 3 days so far, what's your big aha? Yes, Sharon, go ahead.
Just the idea that if you get stuck, you can look at the situation from another character's perspective. I think we discussed that, and Pamela mentioned it, which I thought was very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember, I have all the notes here of your characters. So when you were describing your characters and they were telling you about who they are and what they love to do, now stack that too, go deeper into the next level. When I say stacking, the next level. So, you know, if Diana loves books Ask her how she fell in love with books. So what kind of books does she like? And then ask her why she likes them, okay? And Captain Drake, you know, what's his thing with rats? You know, like, tell me more about the rats. But I would really like to know about the harmonica, to be honest with you. Like, how can this kind of sounds like a mean, demanding boss, you know, be playing this really cool harmonica? Because that's playful, you know? So go into those places, do the breathless type of breathing, connect on that higher level with them, with their personalities. And Christine, find out, like, Jackie wants to be humorous. Ask her, what does she want to do to be humorous? Ask her, like, what does that look like for her? You know, because if we don't communicate with them and let them start writing, it's going to be really with only what we know. And this is why when you go into the group and even in the group coaching program, when you get stuck like that, you go put this in there and say, listen, this is what I learned from my character, but I just can't figure out how to bring this forward. And, you know, it could be one of you that all of a sudden have the Bing idea, like when I said, think of your chapters as a short story, Bing, you may have it. I didn't see it. You may have it and say to Sharon, oh, well, what if you looked at it this way? And I even go, wow, I didn't see that. So see, it helps all of us. Don't ever rely just on me. Mastermind together and you will find your brilliance comes through, guaranteed. Okay. All right. It's good to have more brains involved. Absolutely. Absolutely. Blondie, thank you. Thank you. Blondie, by the way, is a published author. She has a book out there. So she posted it in the Future Authors group, right? And you posted in there, I believe. Yep. So support each other wherever you are, whatever you do, support each other because writers need support. We are very sensitive beings. We're very self-critical at times. We have all these imposter syndromes going on. We still have doubts and fears no matter how long we've been writing, 40 years of writing. And if you don't think I sit here with this fictional book and say, what am I doing? They're going to think I'm crazy. Trust me. Or it's not good enough with the person who wrote their kind of story that's like that kind of genre. We all go through it. And let me tell you something. Here's a secret. Doing a fiction novel now gives me empathy for every one of you. So if I've been tough on you, I'm sorry. Because I have to tell you, it is not an easy project. And here's another tip. Even though I say it to my writers all the time and I do it, I'm going to tell you something. It's still hard to put these organizational parts and pieces together. You must save your documents, save as, put your title, put your date. When you go in and revise it, change the date. Guarantee you're going to appreciate it later on. And you better number your pages because when you go print them out and you accidentally drop them or your dog or cat decides to mess them up and go all over and you don't have page numbers, you're going to be pulling your hair out. Now, are there apps and software programs to help you do storyboards and organize it like Fictionary? Yes. If you have that skill to be techno, great. If you're doing things old school, like most of us, you need to have a file, you need to have a system, and you need to have everything labeled. And the mistake that I made, so be careful of this, Irene, because you keep changing things. I started out, putting my character's name because I didn't have the title yet. And I've changed the way I say her name 3 times, Alexandra, Alex, and Lexi. So when I was first saving it, I was missing some chapters. I realized it was Alex. I had to go back. I couldn't figure it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is out of your comfort zone. We're looking forward to it's out of all of our comfort zones, Lori. No matter how long we're doing it, it's out of our comfort zone. But that's the fun, like Robin said, have fun with this. When you know what you're supposed to write and bring to this world, and you have fun with it, and you have support from people that care about your writing. Yeah, the reckless writing. Let me tell you, it is a beautiful process. It is an empowering process, and it's a healing process for everybody. Okay. All right. Any last words from anybody? Yes. Thank you, Blondie.
So as usual, Gloria offered this from 7 to 9, and you'll notice it's 9:22. And once again, she's generous with her time and her training, her coaching, because this is coaching. And this is the way she is with the private, if you decide to, pay the money before tomorrow or whenever, and you get into the next coaching session, she's very generous. And this, you don't see this often.
I didn't pay her to say any of that, by the way.
No, and I mean, I'm one of the.
I didn't even ask you to, yeah.
I'm one of the
Thank you.
least trusting, leery people. And I'm just not saying that.
Yeah, and you may find that I will pick the phone up occasionally, and it's not even an official coaching call, and it turns into a coaching call, like last night, Pam and I, and all of a sudden she was inspired. And Irene knows I've done that because I care about you. That's the thing about me. I'm not just working with you because I want you to put your book out there. I care about you and your story. And when we start to connect, I could be a pain in the ass sometimes. You might say, leave me alone, because I do check on you. When I get a sense and a feeling that you're having a rough time, and I knew Pam has been for a few months, and she finally was like, okay. She started writing again, so thank you, Marla. Yeah, so that's who I am. I am extremely connected with my writers. I love to see their success. I love to see them blossom. I've watched every single one of them change in so many ways beyond their writing that, like Irene, I think of when she first came on, right, Pam? She don't even look like the same person. She doesn't act like the same person. Zing, who's out there, you guys didn't get to meet her because she's on this whole cross-country tour. I mean, my gosh, follow her on Facebook. She wrote Fairy Wisdom to Live By. She believes in her wisdom that she's been receiving from the nature spirits. Doesn't even matter what she wrote in the book. It's her attitude. And people are welcoming her and buying the book and bringing her into stores all over these states. She is such an amazing role model, amazing. And then I look at Jenny, who was going to write this whole medical kind of story about her daughter's journal, her journey, her health journey. And she writes While You Were Dreaming, a fictional book about an empath who's having past life dreams that turns into a real life situation, because this actually happened to her in real life. She met her friend's husband at dinner one night, and it was like, and they both felt it, like they both knew. They didn't say anything, but when she listened to herself, she realized that's him in the story that comes up. Yeah. So anyway, tied to the bed. Yeah, she was tied to the bed too. Yeah. Yeah. So lots of good things that are coming out of this for people. And this is the other thing I do. Yes, I help publish. Okay. I do not take royalties like most publishing companies, just to let you know. You pay for the service that you work with our team. But if you want to go push the publish button, it's free to hit the publish button. You get your own account as a solo author. It does not go under me where I have to send you royalties. I am an author. I know what it's like to have been raked over the coals by a traditional publisher to this day. Okay. I know what it's like to self-publish and be floundering in a sea of not knowing a whole lot of things and millions of people. And I made a commitment that when I help my writers and they want to work with me through the actual publishing process, whatever royalties you make, they're yours. They're not mine. You've already paid me for my service. So just know that, okay? And the thing that I committed to, that God had asked me even to commit to, and I'm totally on board with it. And by the way, when I did that quiz, do you know what my number one was? Contribution. And that's what I bring to the world. It's contribution. Your stories are a contribution extension to the world. But I saw supporting my authors. If you're familiar with Hay House, and they charge all this money and they bring all the famous people in, they don't bring the little guys in. I bring the little guys in because someday you're going to be the big guy. And so I've already done a couple of things where my authors have been featured. They get to do the public speaking. Sedona this coming October. Irene gets to share her gifts. Robin shares hers. And then we have one other gal that is coming as well. So you get to be in the limelight. I don't need to be in it. Okay. I'm doing my job right here. You need to be in the limelight. I want you to shine. I want the world to see you. You know, Kathy, who wrote Fearless in Heels, was the attorney that I told you. She was in Sedona with us in February. She's getting all these opportunities now. She's in all these newspaper articles. Nonprofits are reaching out to her because not only was she abused and violated in her life, but then she became an attorney to protect, you know, people that have been. And now she was on the phone with me the other day. I'm not coaching her anymore. We were talking for 2 hours and I'm helping her how to set up a nonprofit because years ago I knew how to do that. Go figure, another talent, right? So then she's like, this lady that she met through one of the company's networking things happens to be a promoter. And she's like, oh my God, I love this idea. I love it. You need to write a children's book. So now we're working on a children's book as soon as she gets some things off her plate, a superhero book for kids that get bullied and need to bring their superpower up. What a great idea. I'm like, oh my God, who thought I would ever be working with somebody on that? So it's fun. The whole process is fun. And I want you to have fun and shine your light. Okay. With that, I'm going to say good night. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow. And please, please bring your publishing questions. Okay. Good night. Good
Thank
night.
you.
You are welcome. You are very
Good
welcome.
night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Irene.
My sister's saying bye.
Hamadou, hang here for a second. Don't leave yet. Okay. I want to be able to gift you a little bit of work on your thing because I can't send something to Africa. Okay. So send me that piece that you're working on and I will work on it with you as a gift. Okay. Hey, Daryl, what's up? You're welcome.